to the tree, the tower, her subject had no friend. Do you know what she said?
Let them eat cake.
He took the bomb.
We're getting screwed, man. Every time we turn around, we're getting screwed. Oh, the revolution's going to be through podcasting for sure. That's the only way we talk. It's the little guys that take the brunt of everything. It's got to stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants. Every one of us. You watch those old movies and see the peasants in the background with the kings and queens walking around. We're those people. We're those people.
Good morning, peasants. Welcome to another episode of The Peasant's Perspective. I'm glad you guys all came back to join us again. Oh, hey. We're not closing the show yet. We're so
fastest
bad.
episode ever.
We're so bad. And done. It reminds me of that South Park episode. Yeah, well, invest your money here, and it's gone. All right. Thank you very much. That's it. It's gone. In prison, we would always quote South Park. I mean, we'd quote everything, right? But South Park would come up a lot because you're basically living in a cartoon. And it was amazing to me how many of these guys had never watched South Park.
Well, that's me.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Man. Well, I'm sure this audience is split on having watched it or not. But
I know that there's a character named Chef, I think.
yeah.
And then Kenny. And does he die all the time?
They killed Kenny.
Yeah, that's all I know. That's it.
It's a really funny show. It's just good satire. I mean, it's, it's crass at times, but it's just funny. It's just funny. So speaking of being crass, so a big thing that has come up is there's been this NSA chat log, this intelligence community chat log that has been exposed. Have you heard about this?
No.
So Christopher Rufo, who's been exposing a lot of the DEI nonsense, it's kind of started up here in Seattle, actually. He got a hold of these chat logs from a whistleblower or something. It's 2 years of chat logs in these LGBT, transgender, pansexual chat logs. There's
That's
hundreds
gotta
of
be
members.
a really fun read.
They're horrible. They're horrible. Some of these people are talking about their transition surgeries. Some of them are talking about their sexual kinks, their group sex, group orgies. It's horrible. Like it's another one of these stories that's like, then you can't hear about it on the public airwaves. It's so obscene that to even mention it, you're going to have to mention it in like kind of caged couch terms, and you're going to have to talk about the least offensive, most offensive thing. Does that make sense? So
I know there's different strokes for different folks, but this is something I just don't get. I just don't understand it.
I don't understand. You're doing it on government servers. You know what I mean? Like the Lisa Page and Peter Strzok text messages back and forth were also very salacious. Like we hone in on the 4 dozen or a dozen ones that you see over and over and over again. We're going to get Trump, right? Yeah. Stinky Trump MAGA people in Walmart and, a text back and forth, but they were sexting back and forth. Right. I mean, it was no bueno.
Yeah.
And same thing here. This stuff is just disgusting. And there's 2 years of it. So it's like, pick a day. Every day was worse than the next.
Yeah.
And
my wife doesn't even like PDA, public displays of affection, but this is on a different level.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're just going to hear Jesse Waters talk about it because it's nice and watered down. So, Dad, this is a very sensitive topic, but at the same time, this is Fox News talking about
Journalist
it. So
Chris Rufo just uncovered a deep state sex chat at the National Security Agency. Chat logs show intel officials were using a chat room to share their fetishes and kinks and brag about getting sex changes. And it goes back 2 years. A transgender sex chat while they were on the clock. When you think about it, this was a taxpayer-funded transgender sex chat. Here's a taste. Viewer warning. This one guy had just had his manhood surgically removed. One of the weirdest things that gives me euphoria is when I pee. I don't have to push anything down to make sure it aims right. Here's another. Getting my blank zapped by a laser was shocking.
By the way, blank is booty.
Fine, I'll just do one more. This one guy's talking about how excited he is that the bulge is gone and he can wear bikinis after his sex change surgeries. I know. And these are intel officials. These people are in charge of guarding the nation's deepest secrets and spying on our enemies. How mentally tough are these people if they're having doctors chop off their body parts and then celebrating it on a work computer? Do you know how easy it is to blackmail somebody like that? Do you know how China or Russia or the Iranians, what they would do if they got their hands on this? First, they'd laugh, but then they'd compromise every single one of these reckless agents. Elon asked, "What did you accomplish at work last week?" "I sexted with my colleagues about pouring hot wax on my nipples." This is what happens when 96% of the federal workforce works from home. They're having sex change surgeries while they're working from home, and their bosses don't even know about it. I bet we paid for those sex change surgeries. And then they're all in the group chat all day. "Hey, how was your operation?" "Mine was great. Still a little sore, but now I can live my own truth."
Okay.
We're going to take a really quick break. Okay, so you can see what these guys are doing in their on time. Imagine what they're doing in their off time, right? But I think the concern that he says is like, these are the people that guard our secrets. Do you remember a couple of years ago, there was a rash of these woke military and CIA recruitment ads?
Yeah.
Well, here you go. Right, here you go. It's like full circle. You know what I mean? Like, woo, hello. These people are nuts. These are the people that are running the world. Right. And so when you're like, hey, you know, I've got this duty to be a good citizen, I'll say, hey, look, those are honorable things. But, you know, are we the baddies? So there's a what movie is that from? Or is that just a parody skit?
It's a parody sketch show.
It's a parody sketch.
Yeah.
The guys are World War II soldiers.
Yeah.
And they've got skulls on their uniforms. And the one guy's sitting there, he's like, hey, did you see the new insignia? There's skulls. And he's like, yeah, what's wrong with that? He's like, are we the baddies? In fact, maybe we should just play it.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. So this is a great little deal here. Let's hit pause. 1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so we're going to play this, and we're just going to go ahead and play it in its entirety. I'm sure there's some type of copyright thing or something. I don't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We're going to just play it so you can get the full context of the story. But when I've heard, are we the baddies so many times? But now
this is
hilarious.
where it comes from.
So for those of you on the video chat, you get to watch the video. Those of you listening, it's still pretty funny.
Now we'll see how these Russians deal with a crack SS division.
Hans?
Have courage, my friend.
Yeah. Hans, I've just noticed something.
These communists are all cowards.
Have you looked at our caps recently?
Our caps?
The badges on our caps. Have you looked at them?
What? No. A bit?
They've got skulls on them. Have you noticed that our caps have actually got little pictures of skulls on them?
I don't...
Hans, are we the baddies?
Right, let's see. We should be able to hold them at this point here, at least for a few hours.
Why skulls, though? Why skulls?
Well, maybe they're the skulls of our enemies.
Maybe. But is that how it comes across? I mean, it doesn't say next to the skull, you know, yeah, we killed him, but trust us, this guy was horrid.
Well, no, but...
I mean, what does skulls make you think of? Death, cannibals, beheading, pirates.
Pirates are fun.
I didn't say we weren't fun, but fun or not, pirates are still the baddies. I just can't think of anything good about a skull.
What about pure Aryan skull shape?
Even is more usually depicted with the skin still on. whereas the Allies...
No, you haven't been listening to Allied propaganda. Of course they're going to say we're the bad guys.
But they didn't get to design our uniforms. And their symbols are all, quite nice. Stars, stripes, lions, sickles.
What's so good about a sickle?
Well, nothing. And obviously, if there's one thing we've learned in the last 1,000 miles of retreat, it's that Russian agriculture is in dire need of mechanization.
Tell me about it.
But you've got to say, it's better than a skull. I mean, I really can't think of anything worse as a symbol than a skull.
A rat's anus?
Yeah. And if we were fighting an army marching under the banner of a rat's anus, I'd probably be a lot less worried, Hans.
Okay. So
maybe we're the baddies.
Oh, hilarious.
All right. So a little diversion there, but so maybe we're the baddies,
Maybe.
right? Like this is, am I living in the Republic or am I living in the American Empire?
At least we don't have skulls on our flag or
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that Punisher thing has made its rounds. All right. So on the brighter side, at least Tulsi Gabbard's nomination is going to do something. So she was on with Jesse Waters, and she talked about, as of this morning, I believe, at least 100 of these intelligence officers that have participated in those specific chat logs have been fired. But it sounds like they've decided that's just symptomatic of the whole thing. You got to remember, we had State Departments around the world flying LGBT flags, right? And then it was only a handful of years ago, which we covered on this show previously, the State Department had a huge child pornography thing that came out just like this, where it was like chat logs and, forums and picture share things that they were doing back and forth in the State Department. And that whole story just kind of, on the news one day, off the news the next.
Was that the Pizzagate thing?
No, that was way before Pizzagate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The Pizzagate thing is one of those like, here, let me tell you some truth and divert you a little bit because one detail of the story isn't perfectly accurate, which again, we're going to talk about. This is not where our show is going, but it kind of goes back to that joke that we had where you're like, oh, I thought this was a conspiracy show. And I thought, you thought this was a conspiracy show? Like, I didn't know that. I thought this was a news show. And that's kind of the theme of today's show is it's like, hey, the conspiracy theorists are so-called have basically been right. It's just how long of a curve are you looking at this thing?
Yeah.
Right. But eventually it's like all of this stuff comes home to roost. And now that we've been around, we've kind of got this interesting deal because when we first got started, there's a lot of like prominent names in the industry that are very large shows that are doing well. And I'm like, well, and our journey was like, you slaved away here in this office looking at draft designs and I went and did some federal time.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, I get back and, here we are putting out this little show that we've got. And it's like, we were right. We were right about everything. In fact, we were so right about it. We literally said, look, it's a mousetrap. Snap. And got caught in it. That's how close to the truth we were.
Yeah.
That's how it feels for me, at least.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't feel like over the last 4 years, there's been a lot of things we said or looked at that have necessarily been disproven. And
No.
and it's not like the whole, you can't disprove it because there's no evidence to prove. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about literally the big themes. We were kind of like right on everything. And so here we are. I hope this is chapter 1 of like accountability. Yeah. I just have I have such a bad taste in my mouth because we can like expose a scandal and then sit and look at it.
Right.
Like Russiagate, like, so nobody goes to jail, but I go to jail because I pushed a gate.
It's pretty anxiety inducing, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. And it's scandal after scandal. It's Fast and Furious. It's IRS targeting. It's Iran Contra. You go on and on and on. There's hardly a scandal that doesn't, even if it feels exposed enough to be like, hey, any reasonable prosecutor would bring charges, and then all the United States prosecutors are like,
Sitting
I
on
don't
their
see any
hands.
evidence.
No joy.
But you over there, mister, I believe you're dealing dope. Do you have evidence of dope? No.
No, but we'll make
But
some.
we have a text message that you sent saying, hey, bring the party favors. And so therefore you're going to jail for 15 years on a drug conspiracy.
Yeah.
But I can't see blatant seditious activity in front of my face. You know, it's like, what? All right, so here's Tulsi Gabbard talking about kind of just her beginning at DNI and kind of what she's up against.
We're hearing CIA agents don't like getting Doge, so they're going to sell state secrets to our enemies. What are we going to do here?
I am curious about how they think this is a good tactic to keep their job. They're exposing themselves essentially by making this indirect threat using their propaganda arm through CNN that they've used over and over and over again.
Okay, there you have it. She's the director of national intelligence, and you just said CNN, the propaganda arm, they've used it over and over again.
Yep.
So it's no longer just like a right-wing talking point or whatever. Like, no, she's the CNN director. Like, if you believed anything about James Comey and we're just going to run along with this Trump's a Russian agent all the way to the point of impeachment because official people with official titles said things, well, there you go.
Yeah.
CNN's just an intelligence op. Makes sense.
Feel their hand that their loyalty is not at all to America. It is not to the American people or the Constitution. It is to themselves. And these are exactly the kind of people that we need to root out, get rid of, so that the patriots who do work in this area, who are committed to our core mission, can actually focus on that. I got to tell you, one of the byproducts of what I just saw literally today is because of this immediate action of transparency and accountability, I have people within the intelligence community reaching out to me personally and directly saying, hey, you need to know about this. You need to look over here. People are stepping forward because they are all on board with the mission to clean house and refocus on our core mission of serving the American people.
I love to hear that, that there's a lot of patriots that want to join you in cleaning house. Now we're here.
All right. So the reason I wanted to play this clip is because up until about the halfway point, I'm like, oh my goodness, a DNI director has never said these things. Oh my gosh, bring the patriots in. These guys don't love the country, selling secrets. And then it's like, but never fear. The heroes are here. There's whistleblowers coming forward telling me where to look. Da, da, da. We're good. We're good, America. We're good. We've cleaned. You know what I'm saying? Okay, great. Thousands of firings, not hundreds. Okay, there are 100 people in that chat log. Great. How many other chat logs you got going on there? And what other things you got going on? Right? Like, this is one of those things where, oh, we're going to root it out. When Horowitz goes, anybody who touched this Russiagate thing is not clean. Okay, so how many people did you recommend prosecution for? None. Right? We're going to clean house. I have whistleblowers telling us where to look. How many people are going to get fired? How many people are going to get prosecuted? Please don't tell me this is just a matter of,
It's just a refreshing message.
A refreshing message. Exactly. Fox News. That's the thing. Is Fox News also an intelligence outlet? Let's not kid ourselves. Right. We've never really been shy about that kind of stuff. And this right here, this little video, and I want you to realize that these people wear masks, both literally and symbolically. So this is a little video about masks with a talkover from an ex-CIA person.
I was an undercover CIA officer for over 25 years. We liked the idea of stunt double masks. They're quick on, they're quick off. They dramatically change your appearance. And we started using them and found them to be valuable to our operations. So we went back to our disguise labs out of Langley, and we invented a whole new genre of masks. Masks that are so good, that are so realistic, that you can actually get up close and have a personal contact with someone for an extended period of time. I said the stunt double mask came off quickly. So did our new mask. On and off like a hat. Those masks were the beginning of a whole new generation of work that we did at the CIA. Once we could make these masks that fit you so well, then we discovered we could make a twin. We could make another you. There could be two of you. Really nice. We could actually make 5 or 6 of you.
All right. So the masking thing, right? In the conspiracy world, is Biden wearing a mask? Is Biden wearing a mask? That's not necessarily where I'm going with this.
No.
The idea of, spies wearing masks. I think that, like, if we just had X-ray vision for all the truth, we would find out we're way more beguiled than we possibly could imagine. Like, totally wouldn't surprise me if some of Biden's appearances were a masked man. You know what I mean? Totally wouldn't surprise me. I'm not beyond believing that. But these people wear masks. They like to wear masks. They like to operate in the shadows under cover of darkness. They're doing their most intimate chat logs inside government servers that are protected from us. So rather than use Signal or WeChat or WhatsApp or some whatever, they're literally using like the prosecutor's servers. You know what I mean? The good guys' servers. So it begs the question, are we the baddies? When you support that system without questioning it, are we the baddies? Right? Like the government. Yesterday, we played the video where she talked about they've set up a government within a government. Like, you're just starting to see publicly the shell of it, right? The CIA people who are upset about democracy and its results, that we're going to sell state secrets. What? You just spent 10 years manufacturing a narrative that Donald Trump was selling state secrets. And now you're just going to openly do it.
Huh.
You know what I mean? Like, these people have no moral compass. They have no North Star. They're not patriots. They don't love their countrymen despite their flaws.
Yeah.
They think that you're a smelly, deplorable Walmart person. My little journey this last year through the Bureau of Prisons and different cities, and they feel that way. And don't underestimate, even in 2024, don't project your goodness onto these people, right? I've watched good people, law enforcement officers treat inmates horribly. I've seen inmates treat each other horribly. I've seen inmates treat each other excellently. I've seen officers treat each other excellently. Don't forget the power of the individual, the power of the people, the living being inside of you in whatever your capacity. And these government workers have really bifurcated themselves from reality. Unlimited source of money, can't be fired, no accountability, great insurance.
Shielded from the law, shielded from accountability. You know what I mean?
Do no wrong. They've set a god unto themselves.
Yeah.
They clearly have no moral accountability. You know what I mean? It's popular in our day and age, and I do it too, because I do believe it. This isn't like disingenuous, but you do you, boo. Like, adults behind closed doors, you do what you want to do. And really, it's like, it just didn't matter. You don't bring it you don't bring your private life into the workplace. You definitely don't bring your private life into government. Yeah. Right. And that was the big scandal. If you had a private life scandal that was like, because humans understand when you have a private life scandal, it rolls over into the workplace. Right. Yep. If you're an alcoholic, everybody's worked around an alcoholic. They're like, hey, that doesn't work. So when we see someone who's an elected official being an alcoholic, we immediately know they show up drunk to vote. They show up drunk to meet with lobbyists. They show up drunk to meet with constituents. Not good. When you see someone who has a personal life scandal, sex scandal or whatever, you're like, well, we know how consuming those can be. That 1,500 page bill that you voted for that had that poison pill in it, clearly you forgot to read it because you're chasing Juanita around the coffee table. So it's like, geez. So when we see stuff like that, like you're supposed to guard America's secrets, but you're having sex transition, like are these people the kind of people that we want to have essentially unaccountably running the government? Because the intelligence agencies are essentially not being watched except for by like one corrupted House member on a committee. Everyone else is corrupted, like it's Fox Guard in the hen house kind of thing, right? It's crazy. But they wear masks. They wear masks out to us. Here's another example of people wearing masks. So this is more from Data Republican talking about USAID and just kind of how the tentacles of this and the money are everywhere.
But do you think you're going to find a lot of corruption, not only with Democrats, but also with Republicans?
Oh, I already did. You said this. You see, the structure of the NGOs, the worst government associated one was invented during the communist regime during Reagan. And we did this in order to fight communism around the world, fight the spread of communism. And what they did was they ended up setting up a soft power structures to influence the world to stop the spread of communism in the 80s. Well, the communism that we were fighting. So they created a situation structure where the Republicans and the Democrats work together. And then they decided to create the NED, and it splits. So the NED is split into the National Democrats and then the International Republican Institute. Democrats, Republicans are both under the NED. And the NED was designed to influence the world to stop the spread of communism. So they thought it would be fair. We'll get some money to the Republicans, some money to the Democrats, so that when they influence the world, they're getting both perspectives. But so when the communism in Europe you're fighting fell, the NGOs did not disband. Somehow they got bigger. They got more money. They got more power. And now they've truly become, they label themselves the protectors of democracy. And now they believe that any challenge to them is challenging, quote unquote, democracy. But really, it's the democracy they set up in this soft power structure underneath our law.
And it's Democrats and Republicans?
Yes. I cannot tell you enough how much both are involved. It is everywhere. Now we even have members of Congress. So we have sitting members of Congress that actually sit on the NGOs right now. They vote in Congress for money for themselves, and they sit on the same NGOs that they're voting to get money. It is a huge conflict of interest, and it's buried very deep.
Is it all about the money?
I think that people, they're doing a good. Listen, I think they believe they're doing a good mission. I believe that they've told themselves that I think they truly believe that without their influence that the Western world will fall. And it means that their power is top priority. And that also means that obviously their finances are the top priority. So yes, to answer your question, it is all about the money. But they tell themselves a good story, all villains do.
We are the democracy.
Are we the baddies? Are we the baddies?
It's just like Tony Fauci. I am the science.
I am the science.
Yeah. We are the democracy. How dare you challenge
hear that when
us?
they say, like, our democracy. It's like, well, this is what they've set up.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it is their little bubble democracy. There's a rite of passage. There's everything to come in. And then the money, once the spigot turns on, woo, no wonder incumbents can't be beat. They funnel things. These guys are smart, man. They're masters at what they're doing. They're masters at what they're doing. And they have people behind them that are on the teat that are masters of what they're doing. And it's like what you saw there. Yes, we have sitting members of Congress voting for funding that's going to get funneled back around to them. So here we are. Watching Elon Musk and all of his magic, setting up Doge, dropping into these institutions, firing people, asking them to tell them 5 things they did last week, exposing channels of money, literally closing down USAID. It's gone. But yet, our Congress is getting ready to vote on a funding bill that will maintain funding at the levels that they were last year.
Oh, okay.
To the places that they were going last year. Just one more year, please, Donald Trump. It's so obvious. Oh, the Western world will fall. Give me a break. I hold the Western world in my heart. It won't fall if I don't fall. What about you? Do you hold the Western world and its values in your heart? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what it's all about. If everybody loves their neighbor, I'm not too worried. But I got a feeling some of y'all don't love me. So, yeah, it's a problem. Okay. Again, one of the things that a phrase I came up with when I was in DC was, don't become the thing you hate. So this is an article here by Washington Times. And this has a lot to do with the United States itself becoming essentially the very thing we hate. When we talk about what sets us apart different from the other world, well, we don't use the brutal tactics. We don't torture. We don't do honeypot scandals. We don't bribe. It's like, clearly that's not the case. Clearly that's not the case. So we tell ourselves a story because we, the peasants, we, the people, are a very virtuous people. We're very family oriented. We care for our neighbors. We're free marketeers. We find our niche in our local society and economy. We abhor things that disrupt the flow of society, things like drugs, right? We abhor that kind of stuff. And we have for a long time. We don't like what alcoholism does to our society too. We were so abhorred by it as a society, we even said it was against the law for a while, right? Like, we're sincere people. We have a good moral compass as a people, irregardless of church attendance and things like that. That's my belief, right? But what happens is the corruption starts to seep in, right? And it's corruption for a good reason. There's always a good reason. It's like what Data Republican was saying there, which, by the way, for those of you that don't know, she's like deaf and mute. And so she's got a translator that she works with closely. And so,
yeah, we should have mentioned that before the clip. It might sound a little odd.
Yeah. Anyways,
it's just translator.
She's one of those people that, like, incredible brain capacity, tons of research and stuff. And unfortunately, she's deaf.
She's doing a good job, though.
Yeah, she's doing a good job getting the information out there. But as far as wearing these masks, our own government really has been wearing a mask. You think about who they tell us all the bad guys are and all the bad things they do, but everything they rattle off is bad. We do it. Every single thing, right? So this is from Washington Times. FBI looking into James Comey's off-the-books honeypot operation targeting the 2016 Trump campaign. And this is by Kerry Prickett. New leadership at the FBI is starting an investigation into the origins of the agency's plan a decade ago. So we're looking back a decade, basically when Trump ran the first time, a decade ago, to infiltrate the campaign of then candidate Donald Trump using 2 female undercover honeypot agents. The off-the-books investigation launched by 2015, off-the-books 2015 by former director James Comey, was revealed by an agency whistleblower in a protected disclosure to the House Judiciary Committee last year, and the first reported exclusively by the Washington Times in October. In the intelligence community, the honeypot commonly refers to an undercover operative, usually a woman, who feigns sexual or romantic interest to obtain information from a target. According to the whistleblower, 2 female FBI undercover employees infiltrated Mr. Trump's 2016 campaign at high levels and were directed to act as honeypots while traveling with Mr. Trump and his campaign staff. The Times has learned that the Bureau, now led by Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino, is looking for the once undercover employees who were previously under Mr. Comer's direction. The Times reached out to the FBI for comment. According to the whistleblower disclosure, which the Times reviewed, the investigation differed from Crossfire Hurricane. So that was the investigation that was going after Trump on the Russia angle. This was a whole nother operation going after Trump using honeypots to just find whatever they could. The Times learned that the Bureau the Times reached out, according to the whistleblower disclosure, which the Times reviewed, the investigation differed from Crossfire Hurricane, a later FBI counterintelligence operation that looked into never proved allegations that campaign was colluding with Russia. I love how this is, even like in Washington Times, which is like a conservative newspaper in DC. It's the never proved. It's like never proved, disproven and beaten with a stick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, give me a break. The whistleblower said the early off-the-books probe was a criminal investigation targeting Mr. Trump and his staff. Mr. Trump launched his presidential campaign in June 16th, 2015 at Trump Tower in New York City, about a year before the FBI opened Crossfire Hurricane. The whistleblower agent personally knew that Mr. Comey ordered an FBI investigation into Mr. Trump and that Mr. Comey personally directed it, according to the disclosure. The investigation did not appear to target a specific crime, but was more of what agents would describe as a fishing expedition to find anything incriminating that could be used against Mr. Trump. This is the FBI investigating a person looking for a crime, and not to prosecute, but to use against. The whistleblower said the undercover operation was obscured from Justice Department Inspector Michael E. Horowitz, who investigated misconduct in the Bureau's probe of the Trump campaign. The case had no predicated foundation, so Comey personally directed the investigation without creating an official case file in Sentinel or any other FBI system, according to the whistleblower's disclosure. The FBI has multiple methods of protecting highly sensitive investigations, so Comey did not have a legitimate reason not to officially create an official investigation file or have a file number. So he's just sticky note running this little spy op into the Trump campaign,
just winging it,
using sex bait, some cuties. Are we the baddies? That's our government. Is this our government? Is this going on against Donald Trump presidential campaign? I mean, I don't really care if it's going on against Hillary Clinton campaign. It just doesn't feel right. I feel J. Edgar Hoover just like, puppeteering from the grave here. Is this not exactly what they did to MLK? Like the play back and forth between J. Edgar Hoover and MLK, sending honeypots, sending it, like wiretapping everything, investigations left and right. 12 years. 12 years they investigated MLK. And it ended in an assassin's bullet when they just couldn't stop the man. Gosh, when you look at this Trump story, it starts to kind of have these like echoes of institutional knowledge. What do you do when the president's coming after you? I don't know. What did we do last time? I don't know. We rigged up a whole like thing about Trump power, Nixon power and the Whitewater scandal. Yeah, do that. Okay, yeah. Go tell him Russia's talking to the hotel. Jake Sullivan, we'll reward you later with a power position for blatantly lying to the American people. Hey, we're looking into his top general working with Russia. It's like, send another communist in to go meet with Martin Luther King and see if you can get him to pledge allegiance to the Soviet Union. Come on. It's like, who are these people? Who are these people?
I thought it was very interesting how they worded that, never proven, Russia collusion or whatever he said. It's like, well, that's true because it's completely false. Proven.
You didn't have one napkin, one restaurant napkin's worth of evidence that there was collusion.
So why word it that way?
Why word it that way?
Never proven. Okay. Yeah.
Because this is all just narrative stuff.
Yeah.
Right? It's all just narrative stuff.
So it makes you wonder, how genuine is their concern about everything they said after that? Oh,
no,
there wasn't a case number. Did they really even care? I don't know. Jeez.
Yeah.
This whole everything, it's just so infuriating. I don't even know where to go.
Additionally, the disclosure says a secret investigation may have indicated institutional bias at the FBI against Mr. Trump.
No, you don't say.
Well, because they probably did the same thing to Hillary Clinton too.
Okay.
Right. So
Equal opportunity.
Really, they're just about having a little bit of blackmail scandal on the president, and they got that 10-year term. So we're going to be here before and after you. So you just do your little thing, and you go, get some funding for some school bill or whatever, and submit your legacy. But we got this. Government runs this place. We got our own little thing set up here. We got our own little award ceremony, our own little internal, promotion boards and democracy illusion. We got our own funding sources. Just keep giving classes to Pakistani LGBT art stuff. Just keep funding that thing, because you know what I mean? Like, they got this all set up. Additionally, the disclosure says the secret investigation may have indicated institutional bias. The investigation was eventually closed because a major newspaper obtained a photograph of one of the undercovers and was about to publish it, but the FBI press office told the outlet that the photograph was an FBI informant who would be killed if the photograph was publicly released. In fact, it was an FBI undercover employee. An informant is non-employee that's working with the feds. An actual undercover employee is a whole other thing.
Cannot be an informant.
Yes. You are on the clock.
It is mischaracterization of the entire thing.
Yes. The FBI whistleblower noted that in the CIA disclosure that one of the undercover's agents was transferred to the CIA, so she would not be available as a potential witness. The other undercover employee was rewarded for her activities through a promotion in the bureau as presently a high-level executive in a major field office. The FBI whistleblower employee personally observed one or more employees in the FBI being directed to never discuss the operation with anyone ever again, which included talking to other people involved in the 2016 campaign infiltration operation. The FBI employee making this disclosure took the admonishment as a direct threat to the employees who received it. Don't talk about this operation. There's a trend that I fear in government, and it's especially cancerous in the law enforcement divisions of government, and that's this corrupt up. You corrupt up. Hey, go be a field agent. We're going to send you undercover. You might have to spread your legs. You're going to have to be a honeypot.
You're going to have to hold on to some secrets.
Yeah, and you're going to have to kiss some old white balding men, okay, and pretend you love the Second Amendment and go to these Republican things, and you're going to have to go be a sex kitten. Everything we hate, everything we criticize the KGB for doing in their Red Sparrow campaigns. Go do that. It's off the books, by the way. If you come up with something, we'll create an investigation.
And don't worry,
you'll be rewarded with a move over to the CIA, to some prestigious spot, I'm sure, in the CIA. Or hey, how about that bureau chief position?
Yeah, and this never happened.
So now you're sitting in the FBI, and you're one of those good, honest, rank and file people, and you just got this new boss, and you're like, oh, what'd that boss do to earn that position? Is it merit? No, you corrupt up. Want to move up? Do something corrupt. So then the people higher and higher.
It becomes institutional. It becomes the institution.
Yes, have become a part of a criminal enterprise. By the time you're in one of these director seats, 20 years ago, I did a little sex kitten thing. I mean, it was off the books, but got me this gig. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like, oh, so you are corrupt. You were corrupted. You're corruptible. You see what I'm saying? Like, you've become the thing you hate. You go chase around corruption. You just got to look in the mirror. Like, okay, so cool. 10 years later, we're finally looking into this. Again, does the story die?
It's more than 10 years, because, this has been going on. Bush Sr. was CIA director,
Yeah. Yes, this is not new. Okay, so I'm in prison because that's where I've been for the last year. I don't know if I've told you or not. As it comes up from time to time. Yeah. So I'm in prison, and I'm serving with this guy named Rex. And Rex is from Arkansas, and he is a hilarious dude. And he's an old timer. He's been around a couple times. This is not his first bid. Okay. He's been in multiple times, state and federal level. And I think this time they got him good. I think they got him like on a 15 or something like that. But he's old school Arkansas. So back in the day in Arkansas, he got involved with, the motorcycle gangs and dealing dope and stuff like that. So he was telling me about all these times that he used to do cocaine with Bill Clinton's brother. Did I tell you this?
No.
Yeah. So he's doing cocaine with Bill Clinton's brother with a Arkansas state trooper sitting outside the door protecting the hotel room, letting the girls in and out. And he says the first time that he kind of made it through this process to be approved to be a dealer, right? You know, there's a hiring process. They don't just take anybody off the street. Okay. So he goes through the hiring process, meets through a series of people to get to be a dealer. And so he's going to pick up his first, you know, delivery of dope to deliver. And he's sitting there on the porch. This is Arkansas, you know, backwoods or whatever, and sitting on the porch. I'm sure they've got some lemonade with him. And all of a sudden, this patrol car pulls up, gravel driveway, you know, classic 1970s, you know, Smokey and the Bandit kind of thing. Pulls around the gravel driveway, you know, sends up the dust, and he's like, "Oh, we gotta run, you know, we gotta go, Flo," you know, like thinking we gotta bail out. Cops just showed up, and he's like, "No, sit down, son. Walk over here." Walks over there. Deputy gets out, walks around to the back of the trunk, pops the trunk open. There's 2 duffel bags. They grab the duffel bags. State Patrol just made the delivery of dope.
Oh, man.
So again, the corrupt up problem, right?
Boy.
Not an unfamiliar problem in government, right? Clearly in that situation, the upper levels of the State Patrol had been corrupted, right? He had some hilarious stories. I'm sure some others will come up, but he knew all about the Clintons. He was in that circle. He was back in the time where they were basically, Barry Seal was flying the drugs in for the CIA. Clinton was fully aware of it and in on it. And he was on the street level delivery of it. So it was making it from CIA, state troopers down to the dealers. Anyways. Good times, man. You meet some really interesting people. Like I said, like 2 levels of separation. Like, yeah, I know a guy who knows Bill Clinton's brother. So this right here is a little chart, which I thought was really funny. Whom was correct and right? So this is journalists. These are your paid shills versus your we the media, we the people media. So Hunter Biden's laptop. Journalists got it wrong. Conspiracy theorists got it right. mRNA vaccine harm. We read that, right? Yeah. So we were crazy, kind of out on the fringe. And now, oh, yep, even Yale's like, you got VADES.
Yeah, have you been watching? I get Alex Berenson's stuff from his Substack, and it's been going over some of that.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. And we watched the train wreck happen in real time. I got sick of it. I was like, this is horrible. Who knows how bad this is going to be? And it's always on the margins. It's always on the margins. Well, he's older. He didn't have any heart problems before, but, you know, he's been in and out. Well, he's older. Well, you know, these issues do happen with people from time to time. It's like, well, on Earth, 40 years. I don't know anybody who's died suddenly, but in the last 24 months, I've met like 5 people who've died suddenly.
Right. And then there were the soccer players that were dying on the pitch.
Yeah. mRNA vax harm. Okay. The plandemic, that it was prearranged and pre-planned. I'm pretty sure we're down with that one now, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Like it was pretty well pre-laid out what they were going to do. I mean,
Wuhan.
Hello. Meeting in Africa, planning the whatever 431 or whatever number, Operation 230 or whatever meeting they had.
And why do they have budget numbers for things surrounding this? You know, already in place.
Plandemic, lockdowns. Yep, check. Got that one. Said they were coming. They were going to use this. This was the classic Alex Jones. You know. They're going to turn a frog gauge and they're locking your house. You know, they did it. They locked you down.
Yeah.
Ivermectin efficiency.
Yeah. Joe Rogan, anybody?
Yeah. Hello. The horse pill man. Right. Again, they got it wrong. We got it right. So this is a long list. Hydroxychloroquine efficacy. Yes. It's good. Got it right. Face mask uselessness. Check. Got it right. Censorship of social media. They got it wrong. They got it right. Epstein Sex Island. Yep. Got it right. Elite pedophilia. Oh boy. Would love to
We've
believe.
only touched the tip of the iceberg on that.
And I want want to talk about this elite pedophilia thing because I feel like I've run afoul on this one.
Uh-oh.
Right. Like I feel like of all the things that happened to me and all the things we discussed on the podcast, the only thing that always makes me kind of go, is we talked a lot about the Pizzagate stuff and the elite pedophilia and, and I made some claims and accusations. I don't know that I made claims, but I repeated some claims and accusations.
Well, even Epstein's Island was all about that because it was underage girls was the focus.
Yeah. And then you'd get someone, but it wasn't totally under. I mean,
They weren't infants?
People want to argue nuance. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, man, it doesn't really matter. You're sex trafficking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're sex trafficking.
Yeah.
So just
you can put a bow on it or whatever.
The guy serving jail time sex trafficked in his Toyota Corolla across state lines.
Yeah.
And you sex trafficked in your Gulfstream jet. You did the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the elite pedophilia, I think where I've run afoul is I've at times been like this one specific person or here's this person's thing. We don't know that stuff. Like, We've got whistleblowers and allegations. The internet's a wild place. If you go read the internet about me, you're going to think I'm a sovereign citizen. I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not. Okay. Who am I to say? Who am I to say?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you get some people, they look at me and the FBI agent told my wife, well, everybody who's a sovereign citizen thinks they're not. Yeah, whatever. Okay, thanks. It's like, classic, Everybody who thinks they're innocent, everybody who's guilty thinks they're innocent. It's like, yeah, all right. But the problem with the elite pedophilia, the Epstein Island stuff, and even down below again is child trafficking, is it's really happening.
Right.
And it's just hard to know the scale. And it's hard to know some of the faces we see on TV, the political leaders, are they directly involved or are they like downstream involved? Like they sit on the board of a Catholic charity that is trafficking children under the guise of humanitarianism. They're not, touching the kids. They think they're doing a good job. They just sit on the board and show up once a month for a Zoom hearing and a no-show paycheck. They're funding it. Are they, you know what I'm saying? Like we would look at that and go, oh, clearly they're doing it with the kids. And it's like, or they're just cashing a 6-figure paycheck to fund what looks really good on a resume charity that is being run by a bunch of weirdo priests.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's like black holes of like, where are these kids going? 320,000 kids. Like that's a lot of kids. And some of the scale of like commercial sexual abuse is so industrial that we can't even comprehend it. And so I think that's where it's difficult because we want to like put a face on it and we can't. It's easy to put a face on Epstein, but Epstein was clearly just a cog. Epstein himself, it's like he's clearly a Mossad operator. Now they're going to be all over us, but it's clearly an intelligence operation. I just don't know who, where, what, how, but clearly we have victims running around, and who knows how many aren't talking. That's the other thing. You talk a lot of these victims and, first thing is when they get out of that, too old or whatever it is, they end up homeless, drug addicted on the streets. It's hard to live homeless and drug addicted on the streets. The recovery rate on that is a low percentage too. Then to get through that and then to want to come out and talk, to have 2 or 3 or 4 whistleblowers out there means there might be hundreds or more that are trying to be silent and, forget it ever happened.
Yeah.
It's going to happen with J6ers. There's going to be a couple hundred of them just want to forget it ever happened.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Traumatic. Okay. But again, the conspiracy theorists kind of proved to be right. Like that you mentioned the Pizzagate thing. And they're like, well, that Comet store doesn't have a basement. Somewhere along the line, they alleged that, kids were being taken to a basement. Comet store doesn't have a basement. It's like, pretty sure everything else on this list checks out though. It's like it's a weird freaking place. Biolabs in Ukraine. There's biolabs in Ukraine. Not 1, not 2, but like 27.
Jeez.
Biolabs, they're not even an ally. Why are we doing biolabs there? We're concerned Russia's going to show up and take the weapons. I'm not concerned about Russia. They have their own biolabs. Are you kidding me? I was concerned Ukraine had them in the first place. Way safer in Russian hands, right? Ukrainian biolabs, which, by the way, one of the biolabs was in a town called China. When they say the virus came from a town called China, it makes you wonder if he's talking about China or China. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's a conspiracy for another day. Russiagate. Oh, that's not real. Or it is real. Oh, turns out it wasn't.
It was never proven.
It was never proven. Never proven allegations. How many times have you been to Mars? You've never proven you didn't go. Do you have a shred of evidence that I have? You don't have a shred of evidence that you haven't. Yeah. Steele dossier. The PP dossier, as some people call it, again, proven to be completely false. Conspiracy theorists were right. Ukraine corruption. Oh no, they're a Zion of democracy. Nope, conspiracy theorists are right. There's a good little checklist here.
Yeah.
You got any others that you can think of? Pretty soon there's going to be J6 was an inside job. J6 not an insurrection.
I don't know about the national level, but there are so many.
John Atakis is a sovereign citizen journalist.
Yeah, there are so many things that happened around the nation. Each state probably has its own, Washington was a mess. California was a mess.
The thing that really was weird about Washington was the level of voluntary compliance.
Yeah.
It was shocking. Like, even people who are conservative and are kind of tough guy and don't tread on me, just throw on a mask like it was nothing. There's definitely an element of like social cohesion and go along to get along up here. Definitely. Like, nobody wants to call you out if your hair color is not right today. Like if your blue hair just doesn't match your brown eyes, like no one's saying anything. Like the Pacific Northwest is just full of hippies and weirdos and lots of people who don't wear deodorant. So everybody knows how to just keep their mouths shut. You know what I mean?
They're called crunchies.
Crunchies. Like we're at the front edge of like not fat shaming and just embracing the Birkenstock.
Crunchy canolas.
Yeah. No, it's the Pacific Northwest is a weird place. It's kind of fun though. Kind of quirky. Yeah. Kind of campy. Crunchy. Yes, but seriously, like Washington's weird like that. But the voluntary compliance was shocking to me. I mean, it really was. Just people just kind of do whatever. And even if they knew the masks don't work, they're just like, yeah, it's just easier. It's like, what was crazy about that? Like in Kitsap County, the sheriff wouldn't enforce mask policy or anything, but yet you still had.
They weren't enforcing nothing. I talked to a friend of mine who was a sheriff's deputy, and he was like, yeah, we're not even pulling anybody over for anything because they don't want to have, face-to-face interactions. So they weren't pulling people over for speeding, for anything. I mean, the only thing wrong with the place is the like handful of communists that run it. Like this place isn't bad. And at this point, when I say the communists who run the place, I'm literally referring to like the building department and the health department, and like the public works department, and like the bureaucracy. I'm not even referring to the elected officials at this point. I don't even know what they do. Like, I can't do anything to help you. Yeah.
That was another revelation. Worked on this RV park out in one of the counties out here, Colum County, and got really close to one of the county commissioners, and the county commissioner couldn't do anything. It's like, I can't do anything. He can't hold anybody accountable. He can't do anything. Like the level that his hands were tied and ability to affect change at all was shocking and stunning. Like, it was weird. They don't write like, the county commissioner, basically the county comes to him and says, this is how we want to change our policy here, sign here. And that's basically it. Like, they don't originate anything. They can't be like, hey, can you move this permit through? Like, they can't do that.
No.
Shockingly symbolic position and locally. I think if they really wanted to, like if you wanted to doge the place or you wanted to come in like Trump and clean up and you had a majority county commissioners panel, you could do it, but you've got the levers there. But I think you'd have to really like dig in and go toe to toe personal with some of these director positions where, like I said, I think they've corrupted up.
Well, the directors stay and the commissioners are voted in or out every 3 years. And so they are just figureheads, and they are just there to sign stuff and make sure that stuff keeps moving.
Yeah.
And I have tried,
but in some magical way, they're the ones who created it, or at least somebody sitting in their position. Yeah. So there's nothing more favorable than to be discharged in the same manner in which it was created. So if a county commissioner created the policy book, a county commissioner can uncreate the policy book. They are the creator. This is the idea that you and I can change a contract. When the county commissioner is sitting there, they have the ability to change anything. The tools are there, but they have to use them and not get stuck in the trap of being bullied around by the smoke monster.
It's my understanding that they approve things and move things forward, but they have to adopt. Have you ever heard of Agenda 21?
Yeah.
Okay.
Agenda 30, and now there's Agenda 50.
Yeah, so they basically just have to adopt and move forward all the stuff that pushes that agenda forward. They're stuck.
We're just gonna have Ukraine join NATO someday, so we're just gonna march that direction. Hey, we're just gonna have the federal government controlling all the wetlands, part of Agenda 21. So just slowly implement and change all of your policies. That's the problem.
Yeah,
they're being told what they just have to do. This is what your position. No, I'm the county commissioner. I'm the boss. If there's 5 county commissioners, 3 of us run this place. End of story, right? This is the Trump effect of coming in and being like, no. This policy manual didn't drop down from heaven. God didn't write it with his finger in stone, right? This was created by a commissioner board who adopted this, and we're now going to adopt a blank sheet of paper as your new health code. Yeah. Start over, right? Like they could do that. They can do that. The people have the power, but you have to wrest it away from these bureaucrats who sit on top of their fiefdoms and do not want to give away their power. This is raw power. There's nothing else to it. There's nothing more favorable than for a thing to be discharged in the manner in which it was created, right? How do you discharge bad policy, bill, law? Go to who created it. Who created it? The city council, the commissioners, the Washington state legislature. You know what I mean? Like they can get rid of it.
I think these people understand that top-down power is important because at the local level there is this real power, and so it is important to keep this top-down pressure on people like commissioners to not make any changes. I think it is like that.
Who's the top-down pressure from who?
Well,
from the state and then just up the food chain like that?
Well, who's telling the DCD director what to tell the commissioners?
Oh, definitely the Washington state XYZ director.
Yeah, bingo.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why I'm saying the institutional power, they've set up a government amongst themselves.
Yeah.
And because of the Chevron deference decision in 1984, the executive branch on the federal level took on, and I believe at the state level, it probably had a similar applicability, but the executive branch took on a legislative role. So you really have had the lawmaker and the prosecutor being the same entity. The legislators have become figureheads as well. And part of that, and like Josh Hawley's talked about this, they lost their muscle to legislate because they've basically said, EPA, give us clean water. You guys go figure it out, though. You guys go have your little expert meetings and figure out how to get clean water. But the law says, give us clean water. And he's like, we've lost our muscle to go through the process of not having them have expert meetings, but actually bringing the experts to the public committee hearings. And you know what I mean? And like going through the process of learning and becoming subject matter experts on things important to our districts like water or, shipping ports or whatever it is. And then getting into the fine grained nitty gritty details of actual legislating the law. He says, Josh Hawley was talking about how they've had 2 bites of the apple. EPA, go give us clean water. Yeah, we win. We're cleaning up the water. We're doing this. And then when the EPA makes a bunch of rules making grandma's wetland, a navigable waterway in some convoluted way to keep water clean, then the legislators come back and go, we're going to hold the executive branch accountable. I'm going to have a hearing. And they get 2 bites of the apple. They get to have a win for passing a bill with a great title, and then they get to have a win passing a bill holding the branch accountable for not making the water clean, but really you've delegated all of your responsibilities. It's just a big show. Right. And he's like, we have to go back through and we have to, after the Loper Bright decision, we have to now legislate, puts it back on the legislature. And it's a real challenge. Like, these people don't want to be the ones to get the credit when it fails. And so it's better just to kind of build their social media influence and never do anything, like Bernie Sanders. Like, what has he ever done? Has he ever passed a bill? Has he ever done anything? It's been around forever. AOC is quickly becoming the same thing. She never writes a bill. Then you have other, legislatures who write a bunch of stupid bills, like Nancy Mace writes a bunch of stupid bills. I got all these bills. None of them pass. Yeah, but I'm protecting whatever. It's like, is that worth it either? Marjorie Taylor Greene kind of does the same thing. Throws a bunch of bills out there, never really go anywhere. All right. Liberals who have been calling Trump Hitler for the last 4 years. And again, this goes into the don't become the thing you hate. Don't do the thing you hate. This is what I constantly used to talk about with January 6th guys. Like, listen, they raided our house. They've unjustly prosecuted us. I don't wish this on my enemies, right? I don't want them to go through this for the sake of going through it. But if there is a broken law, I want accountability. But I want it to stand up to the test that I would have wished they would have applied to us. And there actually been a real violation, in some of these instances. But either way, to all the liberals, Trump never censored your free speech. Who did that? They did. They actually did it, right? The Twitter files, we know they did the censoring. Trump never used the media to silence his political opposition. He never did that. But they did, right? Trump never threatened to take people's guns. They did. Although I didn't like that little thing that Pam Bondi did this week about taking guns from people. Did you hear about this? We'll cover it later.
All right.
Right. Trump never threatened to put people who disagreed with him into re-education camps. They did that. You might want to take a good look in the mirror before you start pointing fingers, Democrats. I think it's good to look at this because when you go,
Is that the new Washington flag?
Are we the baddies? The United States government, as constituted, is a necessary evil. All government is kind of that necessary evil, right? But it's our government. I think that's ultimately what we have to internalize as peasants. And this is kind of a understanding that the last 4 years have given me. Is it's really easy to just point at the Leviathan, point at the behemoth and be like, that thing that keeps taking my money. Well, that thing is us. We set that up. It might not have been me, but it was my grandpa. It might not have been my grandpa, but it was my great grandpa. Right. But the people set that up. The people allowed that to exist. And until we actually do the hard work of going through and fixing that, it's going to be a constant problem for us.
It's going to be our problem.
Yep. And so I'm really excited about what Donald Trump's doing and just going through these agencies. And I wish him Godspeed because they're going to find more and more of those chat rooms. They're going to find more and more of not just corruption on a financial level, which seems to be the only thing that ever gets accountability, but you're going to find moral rot and moral decay within the system as well. And it is not a representation of the best of us. In many ways, it's a representation of the worst of us. And they use the virtue of the best of us against us, right? While meanwhile, they themselves cannot live to the standard that they tried to hold us to. Couldn't do it, So things are progressing. Things are really progressing. I'm super excited to see everything that's going on there. All right. You guys, that's the show for today. You can find me on Twitter at Gone for Months and at Peasants Per. That's the show page, but my personal page is Gone 4 Months. You can visit the website peasantsperspective.com, and of course, you can visit the nonprofit leftbehindandwithout.org, and you can become a sponsor of a family in need. There are lots of kids out there that just want to play basketball this season. And for $35-$50, you can put them on a basketball team, or you can buy them a pair of basketball shoes. And I promise you, no matter what their parent did that's sitting in prison, when they find out that their kids are involved in sports, it makes them smile, because every single person I saw in prison wanted a better life for their kids. And it starts by stopping the cycle of intergenerational incarceration. So leftbehindandwithout.org. All right, guys, we'll talk to you again tomorrow.